All right, our medical reporter Lorie Johnson is with us now. Lorie, welcome. Now, should this approval convince some skeptics that the vaccine is safe, and should we expect approval for the Moderna and Johnson & Johnson vaccines?
Well, when you talk about people's attitudes towards getting the vaccines, we now know that 80 million Americans still have not gotten their vaccines. And recently, the Kaiser Family Foundation did a survey and found that 1/3 of all the people who have chosen not to get vaccinated so far, 1/3 of them say that when one of the vaccines does receive that full approval, then they would be more likely to take the vaccine. So it does appear that the vaccine numbers will now go up because of the Pfizer full approval. Now, Moderna and Johnson & Johnson, you asked about those. They have not gotten full approval yet, and it's going to be some time. Moderna just now filed their application with the FDA, and it takes several months from when the application is filed to when it's approved, and Johnson & Johnson has not even made their application yet. You know, the application process, they just go through all of the data with a fine-tooth comb. They go out to where these vaccines are made, the manufacturing facilities, and inspect them to make sure that they're clean. And they also have to determine the vaccine shelf life because, of course, they have to put the expiration date on the packages. So this is why it takes so long. So it looks like the Pfizer vaccine is going to be the only one that has full approval for some time now.
Lorie, deaths are rising again, back up to 1,000 a day. We're also seeing rising cases for kids. How effective are the vaccines against the Delta variant in kids?
Well, that's a great question. And, you know, your first point is just so horrible because we saw deaths nationwide dip down below 100 for the whole country at the very beginning of June. Cases dipped below the 10,000 mark at the very beginning of June. Way back at the beginning of the pandemic, Dr. Anthony Fauci was asked the question, how do we know when the pandemic is over? Are we going to try to get to 0 cases? And he said, no, anything below 10,000 is a victory. And Mark, we got there at the beginning of June. And now here we are at 150,000 cases a day. Deaths went from less than 100 to now over 1,000 deaths per day. But to answer your question, most of the hospitalizations and most of the deaths are by far among unvaccinated people. So we do know that the vaccines work. They offer some protection, but sadly, not nearly as much protection as they once did before the Delta variant. And we also have reason to believe that after about 6 or 8 months, that the strength of the vaccines sort of wane. So for 2 reasons, we're not seeing the vaccines as effective as they once were, but still very effective at preventing hospitalization and death. But you are seeing a lot of people who are fully vaccinated getting sick. We saw Max Lucado. We saw Senator Lindsey Graham, Governor Greg Abbott of Texas. A lot of these people are saying, yes, I got COVID. Yes, I was fully vaccinated, but I'm glad I got vaccinated because now I know that my sickness really won't be that bad. And sure enough, a lot of these people who do get sick, they're only sick for a few days.
Do you think we're going to see vaccine and mask mandates across the country, Lorie?
Absolutely. We're already seeing them. We've already seen them before the Pfizer vaccine got the full FDA approval. But a lot of people were hanging back and waiting to institute the vaccine mandates until that one of these vaccines had the full approval, like the U.S. military. We know that now they are going to implement their vaccine mandate and mandate that all troops have a vaccination probably by September 20th.
And we're almost out of time, but what's on your healthy living program?
Well, today we're talking about depression. And sadly, and probably not a surprise to you or our viewers, depression rates have gone up during the pandemic. And so I'm speaking to an expert about how to recognize whether you're depressed and how to get help and some other ways to alleviate depression that have been shown to work. Believe it or not, things like diet and exercise. It may sound strange, but the foods that we often reach for, the comfort foods when we're feeling down, actually can make our depression worse sometimes.
All right, our medical reporter Lorie Johnson, thank you as always for your insights.
My pleasure.
And of course, you can watch Healthy Living. It comes on Tuesdays on the CBN News Channel, also online, and it hits at 8:30 p.m. Eastern, again on the CBN News Channel or the CBN News Channel app.